Good morning. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you have any cell phones, please silence those and take a moment of silent prayer, please.
Before we do a moment of silent prayer, I wanted to recognize that one of our county retirees had passed away, Dale Fryman. He'd retired from the road department. And then we had another person in the community, Bill Parsons, pass away. He's a lifelong farmer in the Stranger Township area.
I have one too. It's a gentleman by the name of Mike Haig. Some of you old timers might remember him. He was a police officer in Lansing and Leavenworth. And then went down to Dallas for 20 years in the old days. He was training sergeant when he started out in Lansing. The thing about mental health, this past Saturday, one of my best friends, the thing about mental health, he took his own life and just didn't see it coming. And a lot of times that does happen, especially with law enforcement. So I'll be going down there Saturday and Sunday, spend time with his wife and their grown kids. But if you see somebody acting like that, people, please reach out to them. I mean, sometimes you don't even see it, but it's just sad when it occurs. That's all I have.
Good reminder.
Al Terrian passed away recently as well, so that's someone else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry.
Thanks.
Please remember them in your prayer. Thank you. I'll begin the roll call this morning with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Jeff Culberson's here. Commissioner Doug Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Mike Steben.
Here.
Commissioner Vicki Codd.
Here.
All present and accounted for. Public comment. We have a public comment section. I don't think a lot of people realize that the state statute says that when we have these public meetings, we don't have to allow the public to speak, but we want to. So we set it up to where we do have a public comment. But we had to make some rules for that because to keep a meeting rolling the way it needs to roll. So we set up a 3-minute time limit. So we'll ask you to come up and speak at the podium, just give your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes. And there'll be a timer set so you'll know when the 3 minutes is up. And then also I think we were asked too if they can trade time or donate time to other people. We've decided that practice does not apply here in Leavenworth County. So you can come up and speak for 3 minutes for yourself, but you can't donate your time to somebody else. So with that, I'd like to start out with public comment for Tama. Is Tammy? Come on up. Tama, how do you say your last name?
Brustowitz.
Brustowitz. Thank you. And could you tell us your address?
My name is Tama Brustowitz. I live at 25310 Tonganoxie Road in High Prairie Township.
Thank you.
Am I beginning?
Yeah.
Okay. Honorable Commissioners, thank you for permitting me to be here today. I'm here to request that you maintain Fire District 1 and redraw the boundaries to the township. All High Prairie wants to do is take care of its own, and maintaining the Fire District 1 entity will enable it to do so in many ways. I am dismayed over the actions and inactions of this body to push High Prairie into contracting with somebody else by running out the clock, wherein there is no other option but to contract because there's no entity of Fire District 1 carrying forward after January 1. Further, I know that you have declined to place this item on a public agenda, and I'm going to request that you do put this on an agenda for open discussion and your vote. I know you're reluctant to get involved until all parties have ironed things out, but discussions and study sessions that result in decisions placed in local press by your commission representatives are getting involved. The tax revenue High Prairie pays for fire protection now is a little over $400,000. That's equivalent to 25% of the Fire District 1 budget, approximately. High Prairie is a growing entity, and there's growth in the population, and there will be growth in the tax revenue. It's very easy to understand why someone would want to force High Prairie into contracting in order to obtain its tax revenue for fire protection. There could be an existing entity who is interested in that. I've heard an objection that High Prairie cannot cover or pay for a fire district on its own. Yet I think there is a plan, and there has been submitted to you, and there has been a proposed budget submitted to the county clerk through our treasurer. Further, as an individual living there, I do not believe Lansing is, for example, is viable to contract for fire protection. No matter their optimistic projections and promises, they are stretched thin. They are not fulfilling their current promises. Fire Station 2 on 187th Street is not staffed, and to my knowledge, and has not been staffed for 18 months. I've heard that from multiple sources. Personally, I do not have the confidence that Lansing would fulfill its future promises if the purpose of foot dragging is to force High Prairie into contracting with them. I don't know, because it hasn't ever been put out in public, just leaks in the paper. Thank you so much for hearing me out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions?
So that's something else I wanted to add, too, that I forgot to in the beginning. So non-agenda items, the commission is regular protocol is to respond or ask questions to people's public comment. So just so you know, it's not that we don't want to ask questions, that's just protocol. So
you can ask me questions as an individual if you like.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Next up, I have Kathleen Williams.
I'm Kathleen Williams. I live at 17203 McIntyre Road. Plus, I own the property of 17209 McIntyre Road. I'm here today not only as a constituent, but I am also High Prairie Township's treasurer. Please forgive me if I have to read since I'm on a 3-minute timer. But again, thank you for allowing us to speak and to hear us. I'm here this morning to clear up any misinformation that may be floating around and help clarify information and hopefully convince you to open your minds to this new idea of allowing us be Fire District 1. Not only do we have the tax dollars that we receive for supporting our fire district, which will be 133,000+, we also have funds that can almost match that. I think together we'll be running at $850,000 to about $900,000. So we have a good start to support this fire department. So we will not be taking any tax dollars from any other entity or taxing their property to support our effort. That's been a rumor. The ad valorem taxes that are currently being collected now for Fire District 1 that will be distributed next year in budget 2025. It has been agreed that it will be proportioned out according to the percentages, so that $165,000 will be shared. Okay? I know that was an issue at one time. The division of Fire District 1 is in process. Much headway has been made. We have had our first meeting September 10th in the separation of assets, division of assets, and I'd like to inform you that we will be receiving engine Fire 62, Fire Engine 572, will receive a brush truck, will receive Command Unit 569, and the UTV and trailer that we will be able to use for any wooded rescue missions that isn't able to get a truck to them. Plus, we'll have the necessary equipment for fighting rural fires. The division of assets for equipment is being done currently by Chief Joe Gates and Captain Jeff Simpson. We have received 2 applications for a fire chief. In the near future, we would like to choose a fire chief if we're allowed to continue under the auspice of Fire District 1. The High Prairie Township Board has discussed the creation of a 3 to a 5 person volunteer board to assist in the decision-making of the operation, maintenance, and funding, budgeting issues of the fire department for fire protection. As a fire district, we have encouraged to continue to expand that district to bring in other townships that have approached us that if this does happen, they would like to be a part of us. So per our work session conducted with you folks on May 29th, the county attorney, Dave Van Paris, also had said it's easier if you allow us to remain a fire district than it is to start a fire district from ground up. So please consider that.
Okay. Thank you. If you could finish up, Kathleen, the time.
Okay. In closing, I hope I have clarified some information for you. I hope you consider our 2,000 to 2,500 constituents out in High Prairie Township that is wanting fire protection provided by our people. And we ask that you redraw the boundaries for Fire District 1 to only include High Prairie Township to make clarification easier, and these papers be submitted to the state before June 1st of 2025. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, I have Roberta Reddy. Good morning.
Good morning. Roberta Reddy, High Prairie Township Clerk. I live at 24309 Tonganoxie Drive, Leavenworth, Kansas. Thank you for allowing me to comment this morning. Some of this is going to be doubling up on you, and I apologize. We have come before you, this board, several times, and several times our words have been misconstrued. On May 26th, we were told by the county councilor that it would be our best interest to remain in as Fire District 1 as we move forward in bringing other entities into it. That was his reasoning. That was undermined. We asked the boundaries for Fire District 1 to be changed to reflect the service area of Fire District 1 to be that of a High Prairie Township. Then you, the board, sent us to the Fire Board to request, and this is on a recording, to ask the boundaries to be changed with the request of the Fire Board. We were told that wasn't their job. Again, our request went misconstrued and was presented as to dissolve the district. Not once has High Prairie Township ever stated to leave, withdraw, terminate from the district. Vicki Cass, High Prairie's representative as commissioner, has repeatedly expressed our stance not to leave the district. I would like to set this straight and make it very, very clear. High Prairie Township would like to remain as a sole entity until future time to be Fire District number 1 using High Prairie Township boundaries as a service area for Fire District 1 to protect human, animal, and property. We are not asking Lansing or Delaware to cover High Prairie Township's expenses. High Prairie Township will fund the fire protection. High Prairie Board will be the operating jurisdiction of Fire District number 1. High Prairie Township will provide funds to the Fire District number 1 account on or before 1/1/25. Here's, you have the boundary map right there in your GIS department. For Mr. Robertson, Fire Board Attorney, Fire District 1 will be an empty shell. Allow us to be in that empty shell. It already exists. There's no reason to dissolve it. Let's utilize it. As HPT clerk, we wish Lansing and Delaware all the great success with their endeavors to become a #1 rated fire department, just not at the expense of High Prairie Township. We have the funds, the means, and yes, we will have growing pains, but with the help of other entities and other townships moving forward, we'll become stronger, and maybe someday Lansing and High Prairie Township will be allies. Think for a minute. You were elected to serve all the people in your county, not just your district. That's about all I had. Thank you for your time and value your morals to do the right thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, have Eric Westlander. Morning, Eric.
Thank you, Honorable Commissioners. I'm Eric Westlander. I'm an attorney with Stevens and Brandt. I represent High Prairie Township. Thank you to David and Misty for helping to shoehorn me into the public comment. I was honored to work with you all on the creation about a year or so back of another fire district, Fire District 2. I'm here today on behalf of High Prairie Township to really appeal to your practicality and make a pitch that you consider this idea that's been put forward and try to maybe put into context a bit from a legal standpoint the role of the Board of County Commissioners, because I understand you don't want to be involved in managing a fire district. You don't want to have that day-to-day responsibility. But under statute, when there's a formation of a district, a fire district, by default, the Board of County Commissioners has the responsibility to either supervise it or appoint an entity to supervise it. It's been said that with the interlocal agreement ending, the joint board is ending. We all know Lansing and Delaware Township have signaled to terminate the interlocal agreement. That's going to end 12/31 of 24. But we also know that the district itself, as a shell or lines on a map, will continue, and it's been described as an empty shell. What we are really asking, and I've for the last couple of months been digging and racking my brain trying to figure out the best options and what the options are to provide for a seamless transition for fire protection for High Prairie Township. And what we have settled on is really what has already kind of been described, which is at no additional cost to taxpayers, no contributions to the district by Lansing or Delaware citizens, but that for a year as an interim solution, because it's too late to modify those boundaries and because they so much want to remain in Fire District 1 for various reasons, that as an interim step for 2025, they simply transfer those budgeted funds back into the fire district. And we would ask that you folks appoint, as an interim solution, the High Prairie Township Board or its designees to supervise that until such time as the boundaries can be modified. That's preferable to a lot of the options we've looked at. There are other options, but all of them involve more uncertainty, expense, delay, and they don't make use of an existing entity that's already there, it's already in existence. One example being the potential to form a township fire district under Chapter 80 statutes. I believe that's 1540. I'm told that's about a $5,000 cost for a special ballot, a special election. There are other opportunities or potentials out there, but this is the one that we have identified that really allows for a seamless transition for them to remain under that umbrella of Fire District 1 and minimizes cost, uncertainty, risk, delay for them if they gear up to do this next year. And I'm open to be persuaded otherwise, but I have yet to hear a reason of why that will not work from a legal or practical standpoint. I think it's the most practical solution, and would respectfully ask that the Commission consider that and adopt that proposal, and happy to address any other questions that may come up. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Joe Wilson. Is Joe here? Yep.
Morning, Joe.
Joe Wilson, 1536 Gatewood Street, Leavenworth, Kansas. I just want to say that I've attended some of the meetings. I've talked to both parties. As a concerned citizen, my concern is for the citizens of High Prairie Township. This mill levy that was increased recently is going to hurt a little bit, and now their property tax, their insurance is probably going to go up. And I would just implore us to make a decision so that High Prairie Township can move forward. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Joe.
That's all I had signed up for public comment. Is there anybody in the room that wanted public comment? If not, we'll move on to administrative business. Mr. Lothar, you have anything on administrative business this morning?
Yeah, Commissioners, I do have one item. The current chair for the safety committee, the county safety committee, has taken a new position in the county and is asked to step down from that role. And so per our rules, the board needs to appoint a new chair. And I would like for you to appoint our HR director, Monica Swigert, to that position, if you would.
I don't have an issue with that.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yep, sounds
Monica's
good to
doing
me.
a great job.
Monica's right.
HR.
You need an actual motion for
Yes.
that? I'll entertain a motion then.
I move that the Board of County Commissioners appoint Monica Swigert to the Safety Committee as the chair.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Mike, did you hear all that?
Yep,
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. Begin voting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
Done.
Thank you.
Is that all you had, Mark?
That's all I have.
Any commissioners have anything for administrative business?
I don't.
Mike, did you have anything for administrative business this morning?
I do. Do you know if is Bill Knoll in the room?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he is.
Mr. Knoll, did you get any communication with the Union Pacific Railroad about the crossings that have been blocked down in the south part of the county?
No, Commissioner Stephen, I have not received any follow-up communications regarding the blockage of the road in the south part of the county that occurred last week.
Okay, Commissioners, the last 30 days I've been getting complaints repeatedly from constituents down in the south part of the county. In fact, more complaints than in the previous 5 years. So if it's possible, I wondered if a letter could be drafted from the county counselor or the county administrator, one or the other coordinated, reminding the Union Pacific Railroad of the current state law that you're only allowed to have crossings blocked for no more than 10 minutes. And continuing to work with the sheriff, and we're trying to get this problem resolved because it seems to be something that has just accelerated here in the last 30 days or so.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
We have a consensus from the board to send them a letter.
That's
I
fine
agree.
Draft
with
a
me.
letter and
Fine with me.
hopefully find the right person to get it to.
I agree.
Bill, since you're up
Does
here.
Mike know anybody that works at the railroad?
Yeah, Mike, you know anybody that works at the railroad?
I'll keep looking, but different
We
railroad.
could send it.
Different
Different
railroad.
railroad.
Commissioners, I thought that this question might come up, but Bill had something we wanted to touch on too during administrative business, if we could.
So, Commissioners, you requested last week that we do traffic counts out on the roads adjacent to
Yeah.
the projects on 187th and Boserman Hill. We did complete a traffic count on High Prairie Road between 187th and 179th. It is the primary gravel road route that some of the traffic has been taking to get to Eisenhower. The average daily traffic was 245 vehicles a day with a 28-mile-an-hour average speed. Previous to the project, the road averaged 32 vehicles a day. So it is a significant increase in traffic. It is not yet reached the point on these counts that it is in the top 10 gravel roads in the county, the top 5 that I have here, gravel roads in the county as far as highest traffic counts. The second traffic count that was taken was 195th Street. A lot of people who are taking gravel to get around the 187th Street detour to go all the way north-south on 187th have utilized that gravel road route. It had an average daily traffic count of 98 with an average speed of 25 miles an hour. And previous to the project, it had an average daily traffic count of 42. So it is up, but not percentage-wise or count-wise nearly as much as High Prairie.
We have gravel roads around Basehor that's got a lot more.
If you look at the top 5 roads in the county, the highest gravel road in the county has 764, and that's 178th Street. And then we have several at 345, 310, 293, and 294 to round out the top 5.
What are those, Bill?
What's that?
You have what are they?
What locations? Kansas Avenue, 178th Street. 178th is the highest. It's a short section of gravel road. Looks like we're at 182nd, and then up north of Donahue, I can provide you the map. I have the map right here.
Okay, I'd like a copy of it.
Yep, I can provide the board both maps actually.
Okay.
And then
Thank you very much.
I think as a reminder, we need to remind the public, and because although it seems like, wow, that the speed limits by state law on gravel roads is 50 miles per hour, I believe.
55.
55 miles per hour, which
Unless
it's posted otherwise.
Yep.
And so I always find that shocking that gravel roads
Well, for our gravel roads, that
state-
sounds like a lot, but you get out in western Kansas, those gravel roads,
But they're
55
used.
seems slow.
Yeah, no, they're used. I mean, if you ever watch some of the traffic that are on the gravel roads going to western Kansas through, I mean, you see the semi trucks and things and the dust kicked up. I mean, they are flying through there. But just as a reminder that although it seems that but to say we want the sheriff's department to go out and police the gravel roads and how the speeds that people are using them, and unless they're exceeding 55 miles an hour, there's not a thing in the world that can be done unless it's posted otherwise. So.
And we did support, there was some legislation proposed to reduce that statewide speed limit to 35 miles an hour a couple years ago. It was heavily opposed by western Kansas communities. Some counties don't have any. I think Godin County didn't have any hard surface roadways. It would also be an alternative to that bill. It would be very nice if they would look at providing counties home rule authority based upon your topography and your terrain and the type of roadway network you have.
That would help.
That makes sense.
Home rule authority, just like you do with zoning, to dictate your local speed limits without requiring an MUTCD traffic study. That would be a way of implementing a speed limit countywide on unimproved roadways, but it would take legislation at the state level to provide that home rule authority. Currently, it does dictate 55 miles an hour.
And it is expensive to change the speed limit.
And I don't believe that our legislation supports home rule.
Nope. And this is one of the other problems that's caused by trying to pass boilerplate legislation statewide to apply to all 105 counties when all 105 counties are very different.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
But I'm glad to hear that people aren't going, 25 miles an hour on the gravel roads is, on average, is not.
The amount of traffic is not.
Yeah, that's.
You know, I had Fairmount Road, in my area, Fairmount Road was closed last year for a new bridge, and we had an uptick in traffic on 179th and Hollingsworth and all that, and kind of about the same.
Is there two?
Yeah.
And we went through a dry spell like right now, so hopefully the dry spell will end this weekend and maybe the dust won't. So.
And it is dusty right now, but it's supposed to rain, so there can be some relief.
Let's hope.
Okay.
Yeah, good job.
Any other administrative business? If not, move on to consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Begin voting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 Commissioner Stephen?
Mike, are you voting on the consent agenda? Your mute button's still on. Commissioner Stephen, are you there?
Did you lose signal?
Maybe had to move the train. He's there at over 10 minutes.
Well, that's good.
Doug.
We'll move on to formal board action, pass consent agenda 4 with 1 absent. Formal board action, Consider a motion to approve Board Order 2024-7, approving a disaster relief tax abatement for a property located at 21542 Dempsey Road, substantially destroyed by fire. Morning, Bob.
Morning, Bob.
Good morning.
As you,
It should be on.
asking for board order be approved, amount of abatement of $9,239 for property destroyed by fire on April 16th, 2024. This is the only one we have at this point.
It's Alexander Township.
Pretty straightforward.
Yep. I think
Commissioner Stephen, are you back with us? If not, somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve Board Order 2047-7, approving a disaster relief tax abatement for property located at 21542 Dempsey Road, substantially destroyed by fire.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, begin voting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 Motion passes 4-1, one absent. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
This was a total loss on this property.
Yeah.
Consider a motion to approve Resolution 2024-15, approving amendments to Articles 3, 22, 33, 35, 40, 43, and 60 of the Leavenworth County zoning subdivision regulations. Morning, folks. How are you?
All right. Commissioners, before you is DEB 24006, which is the proposed amendments to the zoning and subdivision regulations. This item was before you last week, and at that meeting, you guys requested that we clarify the general intent section of Article 22, making sure that it's clarified that the Board of County Commissioners approves special use permits and that the administrative officer only approves those items at which those regulations deem that. So we did amend that section and provided you with the updated language. So if you have any other questions, let us know.
I had some.
Yes, sir.
I'm back on the RVs. It says, for a year. Does that include RV parks, that they're only allowed to park it for 1 year in an RV park?
Because we
Correct.
have.
Yes, that regulation pertains to just recreational vehicle parks.
And then on a school for 3 students, does that count for people who are homeschooling their kids?
Homeschooling would be exempt from this.
Homeschooling
Are you
be
talking
exempt.
about like the home occupation license for?
Yeah, but I mean, it said, I don't remember where it was at, it said something about up to 3 students, and I just didn't know. Sometimes these families that have large families homeschool, and they could be more than 3 kids.
That would be exempt from.
You mean number A, where it says
Homeschool
3 students are taught at any one time and not more than 12 students?
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes.
Okay.
But I think that it's kind of implied that it's not family members.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
I agree.
So if you're going to open up your own school.
right,
Yeah, I
like
think
a
so.
private.
Okay. I think that's it. And then light fixtures, stuff like that, that's only for SUPs. That's not going to ever encroach on agriculture farms. It's got security lights everywhere. Okay. All it's just, you're applying for a business. And I still really think a business, if we're going to do an SUP on a gravel road, there needs to be some kind of upgrade. And that's my opinion. I know we're not talking about it today, but when you bring a business in a residential area and you increase the traffic on a gravel road, you should have to do something about that. And I mean, it's just as minimal as chemical dust control. But that's just food for thought, because,
I agree with you.
I think it needs to be discussed in a
It
line.
does need to be discussed, and we need
Not
to
at
have
this
policy
particular time, but
about
I sure needs to be brought up to us again.
well, I just don't want it to fall through the cracks.
I understand.
Because it is impacting these folks that purchase their home,
Absolutely.
live in a residential neighborhood, and then all of a sudden somebody wants to open a business.
Agree.
So, and on a hard surface road, don't have a problem with it.
Right, it's when it's gravel road, and that there is an impact. I mean, and there's no reason that can't be included in
And that does change
policies
the
and-
character of the neighborhood.
Right.
John, Amy, would y'all take note of that, because I'm sure we're going to be talking about that again.
We will. We'll make it of that. And one thing to keep in mind, it's our intention to annually review the policies.
John, I can't hear you.
It's our intention to annually review the policies, just to remind.
That's what I was saying.
Commission. So just so you know, this isn't your one and only time to.
It's going to come up
address
again.
Yeah. Well, you're still a citizen, Doug. You can bring that in.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what they're saying is, could you put that in the next revision?
We absolutely.
Exactly.
Sounds good. Anything else?
I don't have anything on it.
We'll entertain a motion.
Did we, on the revisions and the stuff on the comp plan we did, are we going to get a hard copy of that, an updated copy of that?
Yeah, we have a digital copy. We'll certainly print out hard copies as well.
Okay. So we do have it. All right.
Anybody else have anything for?
And I make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-15, approving amendments to Articles 3, 22, 33, 35, 40, 43, and 60 of the Leavenworth County Zoning Subdivision Regulations.
Have a motion to have a second? I'll second it. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Begin voting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Commissioner Mike Stephen, are you back with us yet?
Aye.
Aye.
I had both problems about that.
Was that a vote aye?
Aye.
Okay. Vicki?
No.
Motion carries 3-2. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks, John.
That's all we have for formal board action. Do you want to do presentations before executive session? Or just wait? I don't think we have anything big, so we can go ahead and do executive session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board recess from open session and go into a closed executive session to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel as justified by KSA 754319B1 and to protect the privacy interest of those persons involved, and that this board resume in this meeting room at 10 o'clock. Present in the executive session will be Commissioner Jeff Culverson, Vicki Cause, Doug Smith, Mike Stephen, County Administrator Mark Lawfrey, and others as invited by the board.
Second.
Motion and a second. Begin voting with Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 All right. We are adjourned.
Let the record show the board has returned to regular session at 10 o'clock. No action was taken, no decisions were made. The subject was limited to non-elected personnel. Mr. Chairman, I move that this board recess to a closed executive meeting for the discussion of the subjects involving legal interest of the county and confidential matters related to pending litigation as justified by KSA 754319B2 for consultation with the legal counsel, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, and the board resume open meeting at 10:30 in the meeting room of the board. And present in the executive meeting will be the commissioners Jeff Culverson, Vicki Cause, Mike Smith, Doug Smith, Mike Stevens, Senior County Counselor David Van Perry's, County Counselor Misty Brown, and County Administrator Mark Lawford.
Minus Mike Stephen. But, yep.
Okay. Unless he calls it.
Second.
Second. Voting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 We are adjourned.
Let the record show that the board has returned to regular session at 10:30. No action was taken. No decisions were made. The subject was limited to the legal interest of the county.
We are back in session. One thing left is presentations and discussion items.
I have nothing.
Nothing. I don't have anything.
Attended Basher Dairy Day Saturday. Perfect weather for that,
Yeah.
and a really good turnout. The car show and the other things that was going on. And that's all I got. Don't have anything this week. Next week is that water deal.
Yeah.
When is it? The 23rd. It's the same time as one of that funeral of the retired county employee. So I will attend part of it. That it's down at the Heritage Center. The deal on cyber attack and all that.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if Commissioner Stevens was going to attend
I think
that.
he said he was.
He was.
So, okay.
Yeah, he was done.
I mean, I'll attend part of it, but
Yeah, and I'll talk to Mike, and if he's not going, I'll go.
okay. And I'll let you keep that because it's on my calendar.
That'll work.
That's all I got.
And we lost Mike, right? So, Vicki, you got anything?
Well, yesterday I participated in the Port Authority meeting and did make a clarification or attempt to with the way that the budget was approved, and there was some confusion on the part of the Port Authority as to what the amount of money that was going to be put into the Port Authority through economic development or the original thing. So that clarification was made, and then they'll be submitting a letter to the Board of County Commissioners. And then following that, I had a meeting I was participated in the Finance Committee meeting for the KCATA. And then last evening, I met with Frank White III for dinner, and we just did some conversations about still looking at some of the options for transit for Leavenworth County, and then what was going to be needed, and that was much it.
Still sure working on all the things that are coming to Kansas City.
Well, yeah, we've got the FIFA, the World Cup
World Cup
being
that's going to be huge.
The plans are still right.
Transportation in the city.
Well, and then there's going to be some benefits, I think, locally, even
Yeah,
because
fall
hotels
out from that.
and
Yeah, absolutely.
the things because there's a lot of people who will be coming, and I think that there's one of the stadiums that'll be used is there at the Legends at the soccer stadium there, and then so there's a lot of potential
The state
for.
of Kansas put some money toward it.
They put I think $25 million, I believe, the state of Kansas put toward supporting the event. And
Well, I know when NASCAR comes, Lansing and I think Baser too, and their hotels are always
right
and something like that. So you're right, Vicki. There will be some serious fallout on that.
Right.
Good.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Voting.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.